graduate of the University of Oklahoma, and she was telling me a while ago what it's like to do the morning show. Can anybody guess what time she has to get up to be there, ready to go at 5 o'clock?
Oh,
3.
She wakes up at 1:30.
Oh my.
She goes to bed at 4:30 in the afternoon, so that she's ready to go at 1:30 in the morning. So, Annie, I admire your, I don't know what you call it, but anyhow, we're glad to have you in Lafayette. And so with that, I'm going to make it quick and just turn it over to her so she can do her program. Annie?
thank you guys for having me today, and I just love the reaction. Yes, I do get up at 1:30 in the morning. So not only did I move about 900 miles, I got to flip my schedule a whole 180. So that it's been quite an experience, but every day it's a little better, and I'm enjoying the greater Lafayette community. Now, yes, I am your weekday morning meteorologist. I have the pleasure of doing that. Yes, I had a week with Amber before she left, so we crammed everything in that short amount of time. So it was a lot, a little overwhelming at first, actually, with the night that I came in, which would have been in February. We drove all night. I had a friend drive the U-Haul, my dad, and I followed, because I have a dog that I brought up with me behind that, and we hit some heavy, dense fog in the area. And I looked at my dad, and I was like, what have we done? Like, what is, this is, oh my gosh, where are we? What are we, is this going to work out? Everything's going well so far. So I just want to point out, I'm going to get a little closer. So I joined WLFI from the hometown of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yes, born and raised from Tulsa. Weekday morning meteorologist. Yes, I did graduate from the University of Oklahoma, Boomers Sooner. Trevor Peters and I like to joke around on this because I will be a Boilermaker fan, unless they play OU. So that's the rules. But I did cheer them on, and I had them going all the way in March Madness. My passion for weather began at a very young age. I was 6 years old after watching a tornado touchdown in Tulsa. Witnessing Mother Nature's phenomenal impact on society drove me to where I am today and fuels my passion for meteorology. So I guess that fuels why I get up so early in the morning and do these crazy hours. Before WLFI, I did intern at KOTV in Channel 6 in Tulsa, and I had the privilege of working alongside two of the most distinguished meteorologists. Travis Meyer and Dick Farrow were great mentors to have. Lots of knowledge. They've been doing this for years. In fact, Dick Farrow retired last year. He had been a part of this for many, many years. Yes, I did bring my rescue dog, Bentley. There we are. This is taken in West Lafayette, by the way. This is Easter. So that was a change. I don't think I've ever said snow so much in my life. So he's happy to be here. I love that it's a big dog community, too. It's been nice having him, especially once again with those weird hours. It's nice to have something to come home to and call it home. What is a meteorologist? Someone who studies weather, yes. Let you know if you need a coat or umbrella. We're pretty good at that, right? Someone chases tornadoes occasionally. Mom and Dad said not to tell them in advance. So I've gone out a few times, but I'll normally call them from the car. Tells you when bad weather is near. And of course, studying the phenomenon of the atmosphere includes the dynamics, physics, and chemistry of the atmosphere. All right, here we go, behind the scenes. So Jim and I talked about this too, and I wanted to talk about the different models we used. And then I broke it down. 6 steps. So outside, that's pretty obvious. Walk outside, you know what's going to happen for that day at that very moment. Satellite maps, radar imagery, and surface and upper air maps. So we're going to talk about computer models briefly, and then forecast experience and education. I thought those are going to be the 2 most valid for today. So, all right, computer models. We use different models to do our forecast. This is just one of the many different steps that we use. The NAM, which is the North American model, the GFS, the Global Forecast System, and the European model. Those are the 3 primary ones that we typically like to use. Now, you probably have seen this graph come up on TV. You're probably thinking, what is this? They're at different levels. What are these projections? back in March when we had that huge snowfall, then the NAM was up to, God, it's like close to a foot. And they were just all over the place. And you can't pinpoint it with that. So you take these into consideration. The GFS typically likes to be a little bit more extreme, if you will. And then the European model, which I prefer to go off of, tends to be more by the book, but it just depends because of how long they run for as well. GFS forecasts out to 180 hours and 384 hours. So that's a lot. I mean, that's hard to predict anything within that given time frame. All right, forecast and experience education. Know geography and climate of the area you are forecasting. This has been a change coming up here, so I'm slowly learning and becoming more comfortable getting involved with the community too has really, really helped. Understand forecast models and trends, which is what we just briefly discussed, and remember the weather can change at any given moment without warning. Of course, we are all aware of this. And understand the process that occurs in the atmosphere. All right, now that that's done, if I haven't lost your attention yet, we're going to do some Indiana weather trivia, because this was fun for me too to look this stuff up. So can anyone tell me the record coldest temperature here in Indiana? That's a good guess. Anyone else?
49 below.
Here we go. 36 degrees, negative 36 degrees, which, by the way, I brought these lovely WLFI pencils, right, for the winter. This is in New Whiteland, just right below Indianapolis. All right. Record hottest temperature, does anyone know?
115.
Very close, actually.
110.
Actually, no, sorry, I was thinking Tulsa. I was looking at Tulsa's too. Tulsa was 114, sorry. 106 here, and this was in 1936, so that would have been Dust Bowl era. Up in Collegeville, which is Jasper County, so there you go, little trivia for you. Here, I'll still bring you a pencil since you were the closest. Oh, thank you. All right, severe weather. Hailstones. This is the largest one ever recorded. Can you believe this? 1 pound, 15 ounces, April 30th, 2011, up in South Dakota. That is huge. Who issues watches and warnings? We can tell you, but we can't actually issue them, which is important. Storm Prediction Center does. Now, there is one down in Norman, Oklahoma. That's a big one. The main headquarters is up in Maryland. So they are the ones that are in charge of this. All right. Thunderstorm warning is going to be always in your yellow. Tornado warning will be the cone in the red. And that's what we start to follow when we start to look at their velocities or wind shear. Just a lot of things that they're forming like echoes. All right. So this is important because on August 5th in Tulsa, it was a Saturday night, I was still interning at the news station. And I called the chief meteorologist that evening because if it was going to get bad, I was going to go up there. I go, hey, Travis, what do you think about, do I need to come up there? He's like, no. He's like, it's August. We're just going to it's going to be a severe thunderstorm. Nothing to it. Roll in, roll out, typical Oklahoma in August. Well, that wasn't the case. And we had one meteorologist on duty, and no one issued it in time. The National Weather Service did not issue the warnings in time. And I just want to show you a brief clip on what happened that day. Okay, we might show you here. And while he's getting that set up, it's always very important to look at each and each and every system.
Big questions this morning about why there was no warning before a tornado ripped through Tulsa, Oklahoma. An EF2 tornado was on the ground for 6 minutes early yesterday morning without any alert from the National Weather Service.
The rare August tornado tore roofs off homes and knocked down trees. Around 30 people were hurt. 2 people had severe injuries.
Omar Villafranca is in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where thousands lost power. Omar, good morning. Good morning. 24 hours after the storm, and you can see there's still plenty left to clean up. Now, part of the storm hit a commercial area where we're standing, and you can see the damage.
Trying to make it larger here.
There are big questions this morning about what.
Before we started, it worked.
There are big questions this morning about why there was no warning before a tornado ripped through Tulsa, Oklahoma. An EF2 tornado was on the ground for 6 minutes early yesterday morning without any alert from the National Weather Service.
The rare August tornado tore roofs off homes and knocked down trees. Around 30 people were hurt. 2 people had severe injuries.
Omar Villafranca is in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where thousands lost power. Omar, good morning. Good morning. 24 hours after the storm, and you can see there's still plenty left to clean up. Now, part of the storm hit a commercial area where we're standing, and you can see the damage that 130-mile-an-hour winds can do. This is what's left of an AT&T store. That roof was peeled over, and this kind of damage, as I step over some siding here, you can see it for blocks. The tornado was on the ground for several minutes. Interesting note, the sirens did not go off. The National Weather Service says they didn't notice the tornado on the ground until it was almost in another city. Luckily, no one was killed. The tornado tore through Tulsa, shredding these restaurants and storefronts in the midtown portion of the city. At least 8 people were rescued from this TGI Fridays restaurant after its roof collapsed. Other buildings were nearly reduced to rubble. This stretch of businesses took the brunt of the damage as the twister skipped along nearly 7 miles.
We've got power lines that are down. We've got big trees that are down. We have roads that are closed right now.
The powerful system struck shortly after 1 a.m. local time. Damaged power lines left more than 15,000 people in the dark at the height of the storm. Crews were out early to get a majority of customers reconnected by Sunday evening. The twister even uprooted trees, bringing this one crashing down through the roof of Heather Dick's new home.
I came down the street and I saw that tree had fallen. I just started crying.
One big question people in Tulsa have been asking, why the tornado sirens did not go off before the tornado came through.
This storm was one that developed. The time the tornado was doing its damage during this very short period of time.
Roger Jolliffe, the director of the Tulsa Emergency Management Agency, says they did not sound the sirens because the twister had already moved on to a neighboring city by the time the National Weather Service issued its warning.
I said, if it's in Broken Arrow, we will not sound our sirens because the threat at that time that we got this information was going into Broken Arrow.
The National Weather Service says they used 2 radars to track the storm, and once they saw that the tornado was on the ground on one radar, that's when they issued the warning when it was going into the city of Broken Arrow. National Weather Service official told us they're going to be reviewing those protocols, and the mayor of Tulsa also told us that once they get some of this damage cleaned up, they're also going to look at their protocols. Charlie?
Thanks.
And now keep in mind, that was in August. That's a rare occurrence. We've had 2 tornadoes in the history of Tulsa in August. This is now being the 3rd. That night, that's why it's always important to tune into the weather. And the other night when we had severe weather here and those tornadoes touched down around us, the sirens stopped at one point. And I looked at Cameron Hotman, who's our chief meteorologist, and I was like, Cameron, the siren, tell everyone to still pay attention. We have, tornado warnings issued, and the sirens had stopped. So it's always really important to look at each and every system as you go about. Everyone's going to be different, and sometimes these rare occurrences, which these were spin-ups, did happen. Luckily, people were not, no fatalities, but very serious nonetheless. All right, well, I didn't know if you knew this, but flooding is actually the #1 severe weather killer. Not tornadoes. So turn around, don't drown, of course. That little phrase, it's fun with the kids whenever you get with them and you try to repetitively say that to them. Lightning. Lightning is actually #2. When thunder roars, go indoors. This is actually pretty serious stuff too. A lot of people get hit and you just need to stay in shelter, stay inside. You know, you're walking around, you don't really think about it, but it is a #2 killer. All right, and of course, here we go, big introduction, right? Tornadoes are the #3 weather killer. Okay, Oklahoma averages tornadoes 52 to Indiana averages tornadoes 21.
What, per year?
Yes. However, joke's on us this year because we actually have had more than Oklahoma. They just reached a record. August was the last time that we had something come through, and we've not had anything since, which is very rare and kind of eerie as a meteorologist too when you're thinking of climate changes and you're tracking and watching all the trends. So anyways, a meteorologist sent me this back in Tulsa, and it says no confirmed tornadoes in Oklahoma so far in 2018. It says wildfires and earthquakes scared me off. Just a little. I'm glad you guys thought it was funny too. All right, tornado occurrences by month. As you can see, April is the highest month. I've read up on some data too that May and April they can kind of flip flop on depending on. It also depends on if it's a El Nino or La Nina season or neutral or weak as well. Notice August down here. And we still have that rare occurrence happen. All right. Best time, of course, in the evening. This is when the perfect storm can occur at that time. Temperatures are right, situation's right for that strong supercell to blow up. All right, enhanced diffuse scale. I'm sure a lot of you guys know this living here. EF5 being the biggest one that I've seen, or I've been in Oklahoma to witness 2, one up in Joplin, Missouri, and then one down in Moore. There have been 2 and more, actually make that 3. So I've had 3 times where I've seen devastation done by an EF5, and it's pretty horrific. Okay, weak tornadoes. Obviously 65 to 110 miles per hour. The rest of that, you don't really. Let's go to the winds. Here's Afton, Oklahoma. This is just the damage caused by that tornado. Now, how they're assessed is they send someone out from the National Weather Service and they look over the damage. And from that assessment, then they go about making the scale on how, EF2, EF3, 110 to 165 miles per hour. Can last up to 20 minutes. There's an EF2 with that. And then EF4 and EF5, 166 to 200 plus miles per hour. And they can lifetime of an hour or longer. That's their span. So here, this is in Illinois. This is on April 9th, 2015. This is just an EF4, but still fairly massive. Here is Joplin, Missouri. This is the EF5 that went through back in 2011. So, all right, more exciting stuff. Hurricanes. Hurricanes are obviously the categories 1 through 5, 5 being the strongest, wind speeds greater than 156 miles per hour. We had a pretty active hurricane season this last round, and from the latest data that we've read up on, this will be the same kind of, it'll be similar to what we just had. So we will be seeing a lot more hurricanes this year as of now. I mean, it's still a little too early, but what they're predicting. All right. So this is fun. This is when I was at Channel 6, and we were able to get our hands on some tracking devices, and this was one of the newest ones. This is when Hurricane Irma came in, and we were able to forecast that, track it at every wind speed, kind of to see it went from a category 5 to a 4, and we could see by the time it hit land, it would be at a category 3. And I think you guys might like this. This is called Hurricane Hunter. This is some newer that they're trying to get up on our graphs. Hurricane Hunters are air crews that fly into tropical cyclones in the North Atlantic Ocean northeastern Pacific Ocean to gather weather data. So I actually set this one up, and this plane, which is right in the eye wall, flies around and gets all these projections. So it's kind of fun at the same time, when, as long as it's not hitting land. I mean, if we wanted to stay away, but you can kind of play around with the data that they get and see where the wind speeds pick up and when they die down. And actually in the eye wall, those are some of the lightest. All right. Severe weather safety. All right, go to the lowest level of your house. Stay away from windows, keep a weather radio handy with batteries, and watch the WLFI News 18 weather team to see if the danger has passed. Of course, we'll keep you posted on that. Remember to duck. I like this saying because this is very true for this. Downstairs, under something, center of the house, or just keep away from the windows. So just remember to duck. All right, the most crucial aspect of this career is relaying the information to the public in a clear and concise format. I have had experience tracking numerous severe weather outbreaks and enjoy the all-hands-on-deck approach required for each and every system. It's an honor to be here and continue to do what I love. Thank you guys for having me today.
Very nice.
And of course, any questions, if we have time. Okay, 8 minutes. Ooh, okay. It's almost my bedtime, so.
Jeff Smith made a comment when he was here that WLFI centers around the weather. How would you respond to his comment?
You know, I think most stations have that mentality. When weather's a bull, when something goes on, that's going to take priority over anything else. Is that where you're...
Well, his comment was that we really wouldn't have a station without the weather station or weather people being there.
Right.
Because the public likes the weather so much.
Yes.
That you can comment anytime. His comment was it centers around the weather. I'm curious, since you're new here, your perspective on that.
I think I 100% think it does. And, you know, I noticed too, a lot of people, you know, anchors, reporters, they come and go, but you want to have that connection with your meteorologist. You want to be able to trust them. You know, you look to them when severe weather hits, and you want them to have that information. You want to connect with them, and so I do think that weather does drive that. Either or.
Go. Yeah, grew up in Shelby County in Indiana. Have had a couple tornadoes go through town. As a kid growing up, one rule of thumb: when you have a tornado coming, go open all your windows.
Ooh.
It's supposed to relieve that pressure.
The
on
pressure.
The inside.
Yes and no. I mean, I'm not saying it like that's wrong or that's right. A lot of people too also, I can put it in this context. A lot of people think going under in an overpass is good, but that still has a suction when the tornado goes through. So that's something that I might have to look into.
I think
Yeah.
that's new technology. That's fairly new technology over the last few years. They completely reversed that.
Yeah.
Well, I will check into that. Anyone else?
If you're in your car and you see a funnel cloud,
Okay.
is it best to, obviously you pull off the side of the road if you can get to safety, is it best to stay in your car or is it best to try to lay down on the ground?
Lay down on the ground if you can.
Okay.
If there's a ditch, you want to go to the lowest
What if
possible.
there's not a ditch? What if it's just flat, like it's out towards a cornfield?
I would recommend not staying in the car by any means.
Okay.
At that point, I mean, if it's just a flat cornfield, I would go with what your best gut instinct at that point. I mean, where if you're put in that situation, you try to outrun it depending on how close you are. But keep in mind they do shift directions at times, so you don't want to also end up in the line of fire.
But I was told there was a certain direction you were supposed to drive in your car if you saw a tornado coming. I forgot which way it is. But there's supposed to be right angles.
At a right angle.
Yeah,
If it's a road, of course.
Right. I wish that was the case, but there was an instance down in El Reno, Oklahoma, where we had some storm chasers that had been trained for years try to outrun a tornado, took a different direction, and they were the ones that they ended up getting killed. So Yes, no, it also, Mother Nature and her phenomenon, it's just,
Tornado didn't cooperate.
no, it did not. No, it did not. Anyone else?
Did I understand you to say that Oklahoma receives about twice as many tornadoes a year as Indiana on average?
Yes.
Oklahoma is about twice as big as Indiana, so the density is about the same.
True. I just little fun statistics. Anyone else? All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this.